Hello, everyone, and welcome to iCan Media's podcast. I'm your host, Rob Hislop. In this edition, we're going to be chatting with an editorial writer in Ontario. Her name is Amelia Meister. Now, Amelia, the reason why I contacted you is because I had a chance to catch one of your articles in the Guelph Mercury in Ontario. It was titled, "The Opposition to the Oil Sands is Having a Noticeable Impact." Now, this is clearly something the oil industry has noticed as well. Now, you wrote your editorial, and in it, you're obviously pleased with the developments over the past few years when it comes to the mounting opposition against big oil.
It's a good thing because we're protecting our water, we're protecting our land, we're protecting the boreal forest, we're protecting our air quality, water quality, and land quality for future generations. And I think that's fantastic. Is it great for the oil industry? No, but is the oil industry good for the long term? I'm talking like not my generation, not my daughter's generation, but her grandchildren. Is it good for their generation? I am very concerned for my daughter's generation because we are looking at more polluted land, more polluted water, increased climate change. These are things that are very challenging to Canada and to Alberta. They're challenging to everyone in the world, and simply saying, well, it's not good for the short-term economy because our government doesn't want to look at alternatives, I think is a pretty short-sighted point of view.
Right now, the oil industry provides, say, I believe the figures are about 500,000 direct and indirect jobs across the country. It also provides billions of dollars in revenue for governments, both in Alberta and the national government as well. And of course, that gets distributed to other provinces also. Now, take those jobs and the money out of the Canadian economy, and I suspect it could have a devastating impact. Now, yourself and others like you always talk about short-term pain for long-term gain. Do you think you really know what sort of economic pain that the country could be in if the oil industry is unable to forge ahead with its projects?
So, yes, I wholeheartedly believe that. So in Germany, for example, they have transitioned away from oil, gas, and coal to sustainable energy solutions, and it was a process, and their economy is not seen as totally in shambles. Yes, the Eurozone isn't doing well, but Germany itself is not at the center of that, and they have transitioned. I believe that, yes, right now people are saying, oh, well, solar power won't save the world, but our governments and our industries are not looking into any options. They have heavily subsidized the oil industry in order to create something that is viable, that for our economy. If they move away from those investments and into alternative investments and into diversifying our energy, also looking at different technologies for retrofitting and conservation, there is a huge industry that is just waiting to explode. But our government and our economy is based on these really old models. So I definitely think that there are actually lots and lots of solutions that are being put forward. They are not this one giant catch-all industry that can, it's not like, okay, solar is going to provide 500,000 jobs, but all of these things together could provide a lot more than that and a lot more sustainability. In terms of revenue for the government, why don't we look at how our government is wasting our money? So, but if we're talking about revenue and we're saying we have to have this revenue, because otherwise we can't provide our services, we might want to look at the mismanagement of our government funds currently and see how we could actually be more fiscally responsible so that we're not dependent on this money.
Amelia, it seems to me that at times when people criticize the oil industry, it's almost as if they don't take into account the significant advances that have been made over recent years. For instance, there's less water used today in the extraction process. About 90% of the water used is recycled. Technology is out there ensuring no drilling fluids hit the ground. You know, it seems to me like there's a lot being done to improve the process, but for people like yourself, that's just not enough.
Liters of oil. We have oil spills all the time, and to say that they're cleaned adequately is inaccurate. We are so lucky in Canada to have some of the most fresh water on the planet, but that's a limited resource. And when we have things like oil spills and tailing ponds and chemical runoffs into our fresh water, it doesn't matter if that's lessened. It's still happening. And I think this is why, because there has been resistance the whole time. It just hasn't been so vocal and so publicized as it is now. People are getting to a point of desperation where our governments aren't listening to us. And right now, especially young people are seeing that what sort of environment are we inheriting? What sort of environment will our children inherit? What sort of chance do we have for grandchildren, for great-grandchildren? I think a lot of people who are in positions of power in the oil and gas industry are from a very different generation, a very different demographic, who aren't as concerned because it's not their direct future.
Sorry, Amelia, wait a second. Let me just interrupt you for a second. Do you not think that people involved in the oil industry have kids or grandkids as well? Do you not think that they're concerned about the future as well?
I really do question that and wonder about that. Yes, the industry is better than it used to be, maybe, but that doesn't mean that it's actually safe or that it is not destroying the environment.
Amelia, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for your time. Amelia Meister is a regular contributor to the Guelph Mercury in Ontario. Now, before we go, one point Amelia made regarding Germany. Now, you may have heard that she claims it has transitioned away from oil, gas, and coal to sustainable energy. Well, right now, that's a little bit premature to say. The Germans established the Renewable Energy Act in 2000. What that did is it triggered a restructuring of the energy industry in that country with the aim to decarbonize the energy system in the long run. Now, it hasn't happened yet. The share of renewables was set to achieve 80% in electricity generation by the year 2050. On top of this, the German government has also decided to phase out nuclear power plants by no later than 2022. While the country may be at the forefront of the sustainable energy movement, there is still a long way for the Germans to go. Now, if you'd like to find out more about the goals set by the country, you can check out the following website. It is energytransition.de. That brings to a close another podcast here on ICANN Media. I'm Rob Hislop.